Hey, kids!
Right.
Me, Johnny Fox, here at Sniktcast, and this week, well, he's already here. We're hitting the ground running with this one. We want to get a lot in a short amount of time. We're going to talk about monsters before the little monsters take charge of this guy's life, and I know exactly how that feels. So, come on then, tell the kids who you are and what you do.
Hello. I'm Andrew Swift. I'm owner and operator of A Swift Creation, where I make replica horror masks. I'm also the owner of two of my own little monsters, as you've just mentioned, whose bedtime it will be soon, I hope. And I'm also in a band. I'm in a band called Osprey. That's about as interesting as I get, I think.
which is more interesting than most of us. I used to be able to claim the band thing, but that's way behind me. Anyway, so let's start with the horror masks.
Yeah,
That's how do you even get? Because bands, I understand. You hear music
yeah,
on the radio, you hear music around the house, older siblings, parents, whatever. You hear music, you like it. Maybe you go see a live show or something, or see it on the TV, and you think, I could do that. I mean, you didn't actually sit around, actually just sit watching horror films and go, I could
well,
do that.
uh,
Or did you?
sort of. I mean, it started when I were quite young. I think probably about like 9 or 10ish. Definitely primary school. And I used to go and stay at my grandparents' house on a Friday night sometimes. And they'd got a telly in the spare bedroom that I used to stay in. So if there were any horror films on, I'd have a look in paper because obviously this is like early 90s. Um, and then I'd make sure I'd gone up to bed at the time when this, whichever horror film were on. I think first one I ever watched were um, Friday 13th Part 8, um, and that I watched that a couple of times actually because it was repeated a couple of times. But then there were a mate of mine in primary school, John Dickinson, who was on here somewhere, and we were both really obsessed with like horror stuff. I think a lot of it was because we weren't allowed to watch it,
Yeah.
so it became more interesting. And the only stuff that we ever saw, there used to be a video shop just a little bit further down our road, sort of between where I lived and our school. And so most of the stuff I saw were just on back at video covers in this video shop. And then eventually, I think it was John actually who got a copy of Nightmare on Elm Street on like VHS video. I can't remember if it were. I think it might have been taped off at telly, or it might have been just one that had passed on to. So we shared that, and so we both got to watch that. And then I sort of there was a program called Stephen King's World of Horror that used to be on,
Yeah, yeah.
and it was on. It were on like stupid time, like after all other programs are finished. And my grandma knew that I liked this stuff, and she used to record it for me. And there was some stuff on there about like special effects and stuff like that. So first thing I ever did was uh, I used to have like Action Man toys, and I used to get plasticine and sort of cover the Action Man's face,
All right.
and then try and make it to look like Freddy Krueger or Jason or you know.
Yeah.
And that's how I've started really. And then I'm always like right into horror and all that kind of stuff, going all the way up through secondary school as well. And there were another lad who called James who were in my class all the way through secondary school, and we used to swap videos and stuff and all. And then I sort of when I sort of became I left school and started working all that. It like went on back burner for a bit.
Yeah.
I still always loved horror and stuff like that, and I still did art because I used to do paintings and that sort of stuff. I used to do like paintings for people that I worked with and all that, or like drawings of people's kids, stuff like that. I did a bit of tattooing at one point as well, and and then I think it were about that's 7 or 8 years ago now. I thought I had somebody asked me to do a hockey mask for Halloween, I think it was.
Yeah.
And then shortly after that, my sister's then boyfriend asked me if I could make, the Dr. Decker from Nightbreed.
Oh, I do. Real vastly underrated movie. I love that film.
Yeah. Well, he asked me if I could make that mask for him, and I got no idea how to go about doing it. So I think it was made out of dishcloths, spray glued together, and it had bottle tops for eyes and a zip on it and that. I don't think he wore it for very long because I think the fumes might have affected him quite a lot. But and then after that, I thought like it's not going to be very expensive to buy all stuff. All I needed really was like a dummy mannequin head and loads of plasticine. So that's what I did to start with, and it were rough. The stuff that going from like this size to like this size.
Yeah.
It was rough. First few sculpts and stuff that I did, but I just carried on doing it. And I looked at a few YouTube videos about sculpting, about like proportions and stuff like that, and just went from there. And then started trying to do first mask I did. I just did it by painting liquid latex onto the actual sculpt itself. So it were sort of a copy of the thing when I took it off, but it weren't, there were no texture to it or all like that.
Yeah.
And then I tried for ages doing the plaster molds, which I could never get it right. And then eventually managed to do one. And then, so I was sort of losing faith a bit up to that point. And then I managed to get a couple of like cast properly. And then went from there, really.
So pretty much so self-taught then, by all intents and purposes. That's pretty amazing. I can't imagine, what your really attempts were like, but I've seen the store of the stuff that's out now, and not right now because this conversation's far too interesting, boys and girls. But when this is finished and you go check out all the socials and the Etsy you're on, for A Swift Creations, and you see this pretty fucking high-end looking good shit.
I'm still never happy with any sculpts that I do. I can always see stuff that I don't like.
Never is.
But yeah, it was mainly because it was the cheapest way to do it. That's why I sort of tried to teach myself. And I've always been really embarrassed about basically. Like even when I used to do paintings for people, they'd say, "Oh, like bring it into office and get me," and I'd be like, "Can I just meet you outside and get it? Don't open it. Just wait till you get home and then tell me if you like it or not." So it took me ages to even like come onto Instagram or all like that, because it's just like I've got no self-confidence whatsoever, really.
So is it working for you now? Is there a bit of coin in it?
Yeah, it's definitely working, and Instagram is really useful for that, because Etsy does have people will go on there searching for stuff. But I always find it's really useful to put stuff on here and then because if you do it in your story, you can put a link in there as well, can't you? So I'd find that useful to get people to, so they just can click on one thing and then hopefully then they'll see that and then have a look at other stuff and think, and then I'm trying to get new stuff as often as I can in there. Like I've got a couple of new ones. Got one that I'm hopefully going to get molded tonight, which is a new version of. I've got, the original 1974 Leatherface, like Killing that sort of thing. Well, I've only ever done one version of that, and it's the one that I've still got on my Etsy now. So I'm updating that one. So sculpt is pretty much done, and hopefully I'll be posting some pictures maybe of a weekend of like the first copy of this new one. And I've got a couple of others sort of nearly done. I've got the Collector, that one that's just basically black, laces up back, and it's flocked as well, the actual one in film. And I've never tried doing that before, so that'll be a new. I mean, you'll either work or it won't. It might be shit. It might be not as shit.
So do you have a excuse me? Do you have a personal favourite killer mask? Not necessarily. Well, both. Just from movies in general, and a favourite one of your own that you've managed to pull off, that you're particularly proud of, that you think nailed it.
Well, I've always really liked the 2003 Leatherface. You know, the remake one.
Yeah.
And that one's quite popular. I do get a lot of people ordering that one, and I've done like a few versions of it up till like the one that I've got now is the one that I'm actually quite pleased with, and I do like doing that because there's a lot of work involved with that one, but there's a lot of each individual sort of section of it. When it's finished, you think, oh yeah, that looks pretty good. That so you've got like the pin and then all stitching and then the hair, like punching the hair in and all that, and it's got human hair mixed in with fake hair on that one as well. Wow. Which always sounds weird when I tell people that. It sounds weirder to say I buy kids' hair online because that's invariably where it comes from. It's I don't know. I'll just buy it. I don't want to know whose head it come off. But I think that's my favourite one. Yeah, I do like. I've never done another version of that Dr. Decker one, which I would really like to do that. I think that probably would be my proper all-time favourite one because that was one of the first ones I ever tried to do. But then there's new ones. There's new ones coming out all the time that I quite like. And if there's a few that I've done a few attempts at just doing actual real faces as well. One of the ones that I'm planning on doing, because I've only got a few heads to sculpt on, because I do it all at home, so I ain't got that much room. So once one sculpt is done and moulded and that, I can redo it into a different one. So one of the ones I'm planning to do is like an original design of a zombie, but I'm going to try and base it on my own head.
Yeah. So, I was going to be the next question. Have you ever thought about making your own guy, an original creation?
I've done a few, but I was just never happy with him. I did a werewolf one ages ago. I made one copy of it. I don't think I posted it anywhere or all that, and then I thought, no, I don't like that. So I've always sort of taught myself out of it, and then there's stuff that I know people will want, which that's always sort of won out over any other.
Yeah.
But I wanted to do an original one for ages, and I think the challenge of sort of doing like a self-portrait as well, I'm quite interested to see how that turns out, and then just turn it all into a zombie. I don't want it to be too scary, just looking like this.
So I want to bring this up. I want to get somebody like you. I want to get your thoughts on Ghostface.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Now, for me, like, I quite like the mask in general. It's distinctive, so that's good. It's not particularly scary, and obviously neither are the movies particularly. They're very teeny kind of, I enjoyed the first one as what it is, kind of like satire on peeking behind the curtain, telling everybody the rules and all that shit that we all knew growing up watching them. We're just kind of like, oh, somebody's saying it. That was kind of cool. But as a franchise killer on the portrayal of a Voorhees or a Myers or whatever, because especially when it's like a different fucking person all the
Yeah,
time or several
that's
people.
that's what
I don't
don't
think
really like
you
about it.
can put Ghostface alongside of, legit killers, whether
Yeah,
it's the big ones, or even if it's Chucky, or
yeah,
if even Candyman or something. I don't think he quite counts.
yeah. I've never. That's the thing that I've never really liked that much about it. That it's different people. The mask itself, I do
Yeah,
quite like.
yeah,
Um,
I think.
I've always wanted to have a go at doing that as well because I reckon it'll probably be one of the hardest ones to do, even though it looks quite simple. Um, but yeah, it's never been a big favourite of mine. I've seen first three films, I think, or four maybe. But I weren't that bothered about watching these newer ones.
No,
Um,
I recently made a point of catching up,
mm,
and yeah, that's just a few hours of my life I wish I had back. But like,
yeah,
each to their own, you know.
but I mean,
But it looks like it's
I'm not.
not going to stop. I think there's another one on the way sometime soon.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
it's a
yeah,
thing. The kids love
yeah.
it.
Exactly. Yeah, it'll carry on. I mean, like my kids know ghost faces, and they're like 6 and 9, and they've never watched any films or like that. So it's always going to be popular. So it'll carry on as long as it's making money. They'll
Oh,
carry on, which is that's what it's all about,
which
isn't it? But
it,
I don't watch very many like new horror films. I mean, there's a few that like Hereditary. It's not like a slasher as such, but I mean
yeah.
that's a brilliant film. There's that new one that's just come out, that Late Night with the Devil.
Oh, that's fantastic.
I've not seen that
Oh,
yet, but I really want to watch it.
I've been I was lucky enough to see that some time ago, and I've seen it recently, and I'm gonna watch it
Mm.
again when it's on more of a fully official mainstream release, which I think was it start last week, maybe, or this week,
Yeah,
but
I think it was.
any
Yeah.
time now. And it's I personally I think it's
Mm.
fantastic, absolutely fantastic. Very, like, everything as a period piece. The whole '70s thing is just nailed. Like lighting, costumes, everything, and
I
it's kind of
really
like
like him as an actor as well. The main guy.
Das Malchin
Yeah,
is
I think he's
incredibly
really
underrated. Great
good.
character actor.
He is.
Doesn't want to be a big star, just wants to have a good part,
Mm,
and I appreciate that muchly. His comic also, Count Crowley,
mm,
is if you like a bit of a sort of gothic horror, dark monster
mm.
hunter. It's all the classic monsters like Frankenstein, zombies, vampires, werewolves, all of that shit. It's very, very cool.
Oh, nice. Yeah, I definitely want to watch that. But I sense that if I'm not, I mean, there's not very often it happens because I do most of my work at night. But if I get a couple of hours and I want to watch something, I usually go back to. I'll look through all new stuff, then I'll end up watching The Thing
Yeah,
or something like that. Because I know what it is. I basically like know it word for word, and I know that I like it. So
yeah. That's the thing. I'm trying to
yeah,
train myself out of that.
yeah,
Like, like you said, it's so easy. You stick with what you know, your comfort zone, and we got like lives, kids, work, shifts, everything else, fun stuff you want to fit in, like bands making masks. You've only got a certain amount of time. You want to know that time's well spent.
yeah,
You don't want to
exactly, yeah,
regret those fucking 2 hours
yeah,
because they don't be shit. But I think since I started doing this, I feel somewhat of a kind of, well, not really professional because that had been getting paid, which certainly doesn't happen. But a sort of professional obligation to be kind of up to date
yeah,
with everything in case somebody wants to talk about it.
yeah, yeah,
But it's easier said than done sometimes. Like I said, I'm kind of scrolling at the new stuff and I just don't fancy it. I'll watch it. I'm not one for trailers because I don't particularly like
mm,
spoilers and shit like that. But I'll say, like, right, I'll give it 30 seconds, especially because trailers are like 10 minutes long these days or
yeah,
something,
yeah,
which I
yeah,
find ridiculous. I mean, a minute or less is all you need to get the point across and what this film's
yeah,
about, and your target audience, if you're doing it right, they're going to know whether they're
Yeah,
going to see
exactly.
it or not within a minute. You show the right things.
Mm.
So maybe I'll purposely watch up to a minute of a trailer and stop it because I know whether I've seen enough or not.
Mm.
And sometimes it's hard not to just watch the thing instead.
Yeah.
But sometimes I'm pleasantly surprised, which is good. Which I like it when that happens. Just
Yeah,
doesn't
yeah.
happen enough.
No, that's right.
I wish it
Yeah,
happened
yeah.
more often.
I've had
Because I
the
don't want to be the miserable old man, you know. I want
yeah,
to.
yeah.
I mean, I've kind
That
of enjoyed the Jordan Peele stuff.
yes, yeah. I like
I'm
it.
kind of. I know they get like super hyped. Everybody says that, but like for good reason. He deserves it. He's doing well.
Yeah, it is. I used to watch his comedy stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
And then first time I heard his name attached to something, I weren't sure if it was the same person. So I
I did the
checked it out
same.
and
Yeah,
it
I
were.
looked it up. I was like, "You fucking
Yeah,
kidding?" Like, it's the YouTube guy. Like,
yeah.
I just knew him as like, it's the funny guy I watch on YouTube when I'm bored for a bit, or when I'm supposed to be working or something. Watch a bit of Key and Peele instead on YouTube. So have you got? So is the Leatherface mask is a favorite, but is that so? Is that also the favorite movie or?
Well, I like it. It's definitely one of my favourites, but um, one of my very, very definitely like top five favourite horror films is Hellraiser. And one of the reasons for that is because when I was first getting into horror stuff, my mum told me that she'd seen this film, and this was like ultra dramatic. I mean, she'd seen this film, and it had changed her life forever. She couldn't even talk about it because it was that bad. It had upset her and made her feel ill thinking about
Yeah,
it. And but she couldn't remember the name of it. She just described some bits of it. So obviously then I wanted to watch it. I wanted to find out what it were and
yeah,
watch it. And then eventually I figured out what it were from her descriptions, and then reading Shivers magazine, and then I sort of pieced it together what it were, Hellraiser, and then watched it, and I thought, it's not that bad. But I love it. I love that
yeah,
film. The atmosphere, and I've read book as well, which is it's same but different.
yeah,
I'm sure you
yeah,
know what I mean. But the atmosphere I think it's got in that film, I think it's brilliant.
yeah,
There's always some bits that make me laugh in that film. Like, is it it's just set in England, but like there's so much American
yeah,
stuff in there. Um, but it's the characters that even if the rest of the film were complete shit, when Cenobites appear, I can't look away from it,
yeah,
you know. And they're ones that I've always wanted to do, and I've done a few versions of the
yeah.
scope for them. I'm never happy with it. This is one thing that I've managed to actually bring to show you. You might have seen it already, but I have actually got
There he
a version of
is.
that I'm quite happy with. Um, the reason why I always want to do that one is because, as I mentioned before, it's just a bloke's face,
Yeah,
and I've always found it really hard to do that. Obviously, then you add all other stuff onto it, but it took ages for me to get to a point where I thought, yeah, that does look a bit like him.
yeah.
I want to do other ones as well. I've got about halfway through doing a Chatterer mask,
Yeah.
sort of script, and then I want to do the Butterball one, the bigger
I
one.
think
I've
it was great. I think, like you said, I think for me, it's a franchise that's definitely hit and miss um, throughout its run so far, and I think it is at its best when it's as are most horror films. I think for me, when it is about like the atmosphere, and it's even like that perfect amount of time to tease you and show you. If the monster's just like on screen all the time running around, it's actually not as cool. I
yeah,
like the anticipation, and then when you fucking see it, and then if they take it away,
yeah.
and they're not, then bring it back a bit later, which is I think
It's
something
it's
that
like
they
Jaws,
do
isn't it?
really well. Yeah,
And I think think in that first Hellraiser film, they're on screen for like 5 minutes.
Not much at all.
That, but you remember it though. That's the bit that stands out from and the weird sound effects and stuff like that, like these little random little animal noises and stuff like that they put in mixed in with it. I thought it's brilliant. I've met Nicholas Vince as well, who played the Chatterer.
Yeah,
and he's really nice bloke. He couldn't be any more opposite to but yeah, I was talking to him for a while about it when I met him. So he told me about all prosthetics and mask, and they made the mask and it was too small, so that's why the back of his head looks like it's splitting open. They didn't have a solution, so they just put loads of red on back of his head. But yeah, I just love everything about that film. I think it's brilliant.
Did you check out the gender swap reboot?
Yeah, I quite liked it. Yeah,
I did. That was one of the pleasantly surprising newer things that I've watched. Yeah. I hope they do another, because I think they're kind of onto a vibe that I was actually okay with. They didn't expect to be, not because it made a female Pinhead. I just kind of neither here nor there. As a Cenobite, whatever they are, demon, angel, whatever. Do they even have fucking genders? So like that wasn't the point. The point was just remaking what is an all-time iconic classic movie.
Yeah,
in some way.
One thing that
I thought they were onto something good. I think try again, do another one, expand that universe. I think they were basically like it's a slow build, and then I think the ending, those last sort of 10, 20 minutes, like make it all worthwhile. And they go, next, but. Maybe wait a little while. I haven't heard any news. I'm not sure if it's going to happen or not.
I was not that into wanting to see it when it first came out, because I was expecting there to be loads of CGI stuff in it.
Yeah.
And that's the only thing really that would put me. I mean, that and with a lot of modern stuff, they include loads of like references to like social media, and everyone's got the phones out. You know what I mean? Stuff like that just weren't in old films. And I think, well, you see enough of that in real life. I'm not bothered about that. But then when I watched it, I was especially surprised about the lack of CGI, because even the bits that I thought must be, like the bit where the new Chatterer gets pulled apart, it's not. It's still practical.
Right.
And like the new Pinhead, I thought brilliant.
Looks great.
So yeah, I'd love it if they did some more of them. I'd definitely be into that, because they seem to have got loads of different designs for Cenobites that you only see for a couple of seconds as well.
Yeah.
So it'd be a shame to waste that.
It would be. So, right, I'm just keeping half an eye on the time. So, kids, if you're just joining us, this is the A Swift of A Swift Creations, horror mask creator, and also
Ginger,
also rock star. Because everybody's in a band. Everybody. I mean, I don't mind, and I used to do it. I'm trying to get a little bit more sort of diversity on the show. Everyone, more painters, actors, I don't know, jugglers, fucking whatever you do, please get in touch. Something a little bit different, but it is a thing you do, a thing you're proud of, a thing you work hard of. So the band's called Osprey.
That's right. Yeah,
like the bird.
Like the bird. There's a bit of a story behind the whole thing. So, in the band that I'm in now, there's just two of us. There's me, and then I'm the drummer, and I do a bit of background wailing as well. And then there's Andrew Oxley, who's guitar and singer. It's brilliant. Now, we met when we were 11 because we started secondary school together. And I think he started playing guitar when he were in primary school. And I started trying to teach myself to play drums while I were in secondary school. And in year 8, our tutor room was the music room. So there were a drum kit right up front. So I used to ask if we could stay behind, and then I'd try and have a go at playing that. 'Cause my dad used to play drums when he was younger, and I thought, well, you know, maybe it's like maybe it runs in family. So I sort of picked it up, and then me and Oxley would stay behind after school, and we were both into the same sort of music. Like we both loved Radiohead and Rage Against the Machine and that sort of stuff. Ocean Colour Scene. I was just really mad on Ocean Colour Scene. That's basically listening to Mosley Shoals.
Yeah.
That's how I learned to play drums, because I just used to listen to that album over and over again. And when I weren't at school playing on school kit, I used to have all cushions set up and stuff at home, and that's how I learned. That's how I learned to do it. But so we've been like playing music together for about 30 years, which is quite upsetting when you think about it like that. And then when we left school, we decided to start a band, and it was just us two when we first started. And we started a band called Crowley's Dead, and then my brother joined, and he played bass, and then we had another lad called Will, and then we were together for about 10, 11 years. And then when that finished, we had a bit of a gap. I went on to play in another band, and Oxley did solo stuff, and then we sort of got back together over the last few years. We started as a 4-piece, but then sort of parted ways a little bit, and then we've carried on. So we're still relatively new as this band now, but we've been going for like 30 years.
So do you have recordings out there for people if they want to check it out?
The only recordings we've got from this band is the stuff we did when we were a 4-piece. So we've not got any up to date stuff yet. We at the minute we're trying to get in touch with different places to get prices as cheap as possible to record. We've just made some inquiries about recording some songs live, because we've got enough songs to do like a 35-40 minute set. So we've got plenty to choose from. And it's like, I don't know if this sounds big-headed or what, but we know what we're doing, so we don't have to go in and spend half an hour thinking, oh, what's this? You know, we could go in and play stuff. Yeah. Hopefully we'll be getting some stuff recorded soon. It's just budget, really, because we don't nobody makes out from gigs, do they?
No. I think if you're not Taylor Swift, there's no money in it for anybody, really. I think she's took it all of it.
Yeah.
There's not left for anybody else.
Adele and Ed Sheeran, they've got it all between them. But I think if I were doing it for money, I'd have stopped years ago.
Well, that's what I think. That's what I've said. I've suggested that's what Slipknot should do, because they can legitimately just re-release all their old albums.
Oh yeah,
just like remastered, so they sound like no different to like the average layman's ears, but technically remastered. And if they just put in brackets Taylor's version, apparently that makes fucking billions.
Yeah, I think maybe we should start doing that.
Even though it's exactly the same shit you've already sold to the kids, but they could do it legit, get away with it. I think.
Yeah. Hey, yeah, I might start telling people she's my cousin. See if that works for me.
There was I can't believe we were talking about Taylor Swift, but there was a thing, because she'd eaten in this guy's restaurant.
Yeah.
So obviously he asked her, can we take a selfie, and all that. And so then he makes so much money all of a sudden for the next few months. Everybody wants to come and eat at his restaurant because she ate. Like, she's not there now. She's probably never going to go there again, ever. She can't remember it,
It's mad, isn't it?
And I was just thinking, that's great. She's making money for other people everywhere she goes as well. If you have the smarts to go, she was here, right? Tell every fucker.
This is where if you want to have a sniff,
I would be the chair that she sat on would be $10 a sniff. I would make
this is a knife and fork.
Out of this.
We've not washed them.
All right. So you got gigs lined up?
Yeah, we have.
People can come and see you. Where can they go?
We've got 3 lined up a minute. which is a bit of a record for us because we normally have one coming up and then we'll just do them one at a time. But we've got one on 17th of this month, which is next Thursday, and that's at they're all in Sheffield, so that's in the Washington. And then we've got one 17th of next month, May, yeah. I know, I do know my months. We've got one 17th of next month, which is at a place called Zephyrs, which is in Sheffield again. It's near Two Fly recording studio, sort of tucked in round back of that. And then there's one on 24th of May at the Shakespeare, and we're playing with a few different bands on that one. Them Screaming Teeth we're playing with, and a few others, but that's sort of how we've got onto that one through knowing them, I think, who are also brilliant.
Yeah.
So, yeah. I mean, all of the gigs or with other bands, I just shit at remembering names.
Yeah. So I ask this. I ask this all the time because I think it's more fun. Instead of asking, your musical influences, and you've already like name checked some Radiohead and Ocean Colour Scene. So what I like to ask is, I don't do what some people call guilty pleasures, because I don't care. I have no shame. I like fucking Gary Newman. I like Bjork. I like fucking all sorts of shit. People wouldn't look at me and necessarily think that I'm into, and I don't care. It's all good. I've been knocking out some Tour Unlimited recently. I don't care. I like it. So maybe not so much a guilty pleasure, but is anything you might be just a tiny bit embarrassed about, or that might surprise people, at least, even people who know you quite well, might think, really? Maybe if it's something from your past, maybe if you look back and you think, fuck, did I really buy that?
Well, there's some newer stuff that I think people probably won't associate with the sort of stuff that we do. Like The Weeknd, I really like The Weeknd, and especially like Blinding Lights when that came out. I wanted to cover that when that came out. I thought that sounded really good. I used to like. Do you remember Barbie Girl, the Aqua song?
Yeah.
I used to actually think that was quite a catchy song, and we sort of jokingly put it on when we got married in 2012. I mean, my wife put it on the DJ set list, and you should have seen how many people got up and started singing and dancing to that when that came on.
Yeah.
A lot of them were taking piss out of me because obviously I look now like the Bob bloke. Well, my head does anyway. But yeah, I always quite like that one, and I used to like a lot of like dancey stuff as well. So I used to go to Club Wow, which were just sort of dance music, but then I also used to go to Corporation and and to listen to metal and stuff. So, but yeah, I like a bit of everything really. I used to really like listening to me mum and dad's old records, like Bay City Rollers. They had quite a lot of that stuff, and I just grew up listening to all sorts of stuff. So I don't know, but I've never been embarrassed about any of it really, because I think it's all music, isn't it? It's all good.
Yeah, there's two kinds of music, kids. There's the kind you like, and there's the kind you don't, and that's all there is to it.
Yeah.
And your list is different to that guy's list, and it doesn't matter. We can still be friends. It's just fucking music.
Yeah.
If you've got an Xbox, he's got a PlayStation. It doesn't matter. If you like Marvel, he likes DC. It doesn't matter. If you like Star Wars and he likes Star Trek, he's wrong. But it doesn't matter.
Yeah, exactly. And my kids like a bit of Dolly Parton as well.
Oh, you've got to love Dolly.
The
world would be fucked without Dolly. You ever watch the big documentary where they explain how the whole world only exists and still turns thanks to Dolly Parton and her ridiculous billions that she gives away funding genuine scientific research and shit that's like saved bazillions of people's lives. And my God, she's wonderful.
Yeah, she's brilliant.
God.
They've got quite a good musical taste, my kids, because we've never been into like baby stuff, you know. And ever since we got Alexa, that's been a really good thing because we just put our music on that we like, so that's what they end up listening to. And now, when they want to put their own music on, they'll want to put like Blur or Radiohead or So I feel like we've educated them a bit.
Yeah, we try. You don't want to force it on them. You just want to put it out there and then
Yeah,
let it
just
plant the seed and see what happens.
yeah,
Yeah, man. I don't
to
know
try new things.
if you know the Swedish metal band Sabaton.
Yeah, I do.
I didn't until my lad told me. Until I just go, oh, he's on. He's got the headset on. He's Xboxing away, but you can see like the app in the corner. He's got Spotify on. I ask him what he's listening to. And he doesn't really want to say. Like, just, kids, teenagers don't really want to talk to me anyway and shit. But like, we talk, and it's like, okay, it's a bit like some of the stuff you like. Is it
Yeah.
really? Right then, challenge accepted. Oh fuck, I quite like these.
I think it was my brother that mentioned it to me. It might have been my brother. I can't remember. But yeah, I heard a bit of it, and I thought, oh yeah,
yeah, I've really got quite into them, and it's the father-son bonding thing as well. So like, there'll always be like that sort of special connection to them now. Whatever happens, however shit they get, as most bands get worse as they go on. Except for Osprey, of course. So I'm sure we'll just go from strength to strength to strength. But never. Yeah, I am going to let you go, but never thought to do the Slipknot thing. Given that you have the two skills, never thought to wear masks on stage. Is that question?
I was always massive into Slipknot at one point as well. I mean, I still really like Slipknot. That's another one of the albums that I always go back to. Their first, well, it's the self-titled one. It's the second, really. But yeah, I've always wanted to have a go at doing. It's just another one of them things where, because there's so many people that do them, I think, well, mine's not going to be as good as this, and I don't want to do it and then think I sort of ruined it for myself, But I do. But there is, it's always been really interesting for me. So I might do one day. I might just make a load of Taylor Swift mask and go around different restaurants.
Let's chat that.
Yeah.
Hey, there's an idea.
Taylor Swift drugs.
Well then, I'll let you go. I'll let you go. Deal with your little monsters, kids, ladies, gentlemen, boys and girls. Those of you as yet undecided, such as the 21st century we're living in. This has been the very A Swift, connected to A Swift Creations. If you go check out those socials, homemade, handmade, yet high-end horror masks. There's something for everyone on there's not missing many of the big hitters that we all know and love. Many more to come, constantly improving, constantly evolving, as we always are. Also, drummer in two-piece rock band Osprey, with gigs coming up this month, next month, and no doubt many months, but definitely this month, next month. 17 is your number.
Yeah.
Your first
17,
number,
and then 24th.
So
the 24th one is like there's loads of bands on, and it starts quite early, and it's a Friday, and you can bring. I think you can bring kids up to about 9 o'clock as well. So,
what more could you ask for? What more could you ask for, except, of course, Taylor Swift, who might turn up. You never know.
Well,
you'll just have to go. You'll just have to go on May the 24th. See Osprey, Screaming Teeth, and possibly Taylor Swift. It might just be Andy in a mask, but it's probably as close as most of you are going to get. So hey, take what you can get.
Exactly.
Give him a sniff. Exactly. I'm sure he's divine. So get on those socials, like, subscribe, share, all of that good shit. Help a brother out, why don't you? Which is what I try and do here. Because I haven't got anything to sell anymore, so I'm trying to sell everybody else. I'm here to pimp you out, bro.
Much appreciated. I really appreciate it.
Best I can. So yeah, this shit will be available again. You can rewatch if you missed anything at the beginning. If you want to recap anything that's been said, it'll be available here, Facebook, and over the weekend, I'll get it on YouTube. I like to leave a little bit of a delay there to try and get everybody to the party live, which I think is the best experience. But it'll be there over the weekend. So, Andy Swift, ladies and gentlemen,
Thank
going to
you very
say
much, mate.
goodbye.
Thank you.
Let him get back to his real life. We've had enough of this talking pretend, but real life. What
Yeah,
is it? Was it like life's what happens while you're busy making other plans?
exactly.
That
Yeah,
the saying?
yeah,
But
yeah.
hey, it's good. We love it. We'd be dead without it. Let's
Exactly.
face
Yeah.
it. So, hey, Swift Creations, Osprey, give them a like. I've been Johnny Fox. I'll see you here. I think I'm back this time next week, but I'll double check. The poster will be up shortly after this. But for now, as the sun sets slowly in the west, we'll bid you a fond farewell.
Thanks very much.
Bye, kids.